All right, everybody, you know what time it is. The Real Talk Sports Show is coming up right now. Everybody, we are here live broadcasting to you on the Real Talk Sports Show. I am your host, Minister Jonathan Simmons, and we thank God for all those of you who have decided to tune in to the broadcast today. But we also want to give a big shout out to all those of you who are watching on the replay or via the archive. Thank you much. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you very much. Listen, you can follow the show, and we want you to please do that at Real Talk Sports, the number 7, anywhere on social media, or you can follow me personally at Minister J Sim. You can see it right down there. Right there. There you go. Follow us, please. And make sure to go to our YouTube page and subscribe, and subscribe. Real Talk Sports TV is right there live on the scene for you, and also bringing you some great clips from all the stuff that we get a chance to do around Metro Atlanta. And even now we branched out to go out of state. We actually went to Alabama, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit why we went there. But before we do that, we have to bring on one of the most beautiful women in all of sports talk radio or TV. We simply call her the Queen. Tree Dolman is back in the building. Welcome back.
Hello. Hi, Jonathan. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Tree, how you doing?
Doing well. How are you doing?
Thank the Lord, doing well. Another beautiful day in the neighborhood, bright and shiny here in Atlanta. So anybody that lived in the metro area, they had a wonderful day. Yeah, very, very nice. Very, very nice. Well, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good, full of wonderful things as usual. My honorary niece got baptized, which was such a blessing to watch and witness. And yeah, just had a great weekend. How was your weekend?
So my weekend was pretty good. It was a big weekend. We did what we do usually once or twice a year because there's so much sports going on at one time. We did the double header. We went to Talladega for our first time visiting one of the great shrines of NASCAR, and we went there and then drove home back to Atlanta to catch game number 4 of the Hawks versus the Celtics. And speaking of that, I'll give you guys a breaking news update right now as we're in the second period of play. Surprisingly, the Atlanta Hawks holding their own, leading the Celtics 30-28 as we start the second period. So the Hawks look like they don't want to go home yet. So we'll see as time goes on. Well, we don't want to belabor the time because we have a special guest today. We have a gentleman that has been covering NASCAR for over 2 decades. Met him actually at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, and he agreed to come on and talk to us a little bit of NASCAR this evening. We're going to bring on Mr. Doug Allen to the show. Doug, welcome back to the Real Talk Sports Show.
Hey, thanks for having me back on. It was a great race, but it's a pleasure to be on with you guys. Trey, it's wonderful to see you again. Jonathan, all the rest of you guys. It's a real pleasure.
Well, it definitely was great to be out there. Like I said, everybody have been telling me, hey, how can you cover NASCAR and not have set foot at Talladega? And,
Oh yeah.
Doug, this is one of the best things right here, guys. I'm going to show you a clip. This is one of the best things that you see, and this is the start of the race. That's when you feel the need for speed. Yes, indeed. Yeah, and Doug, as you know, there's really nothing like the start of NASCAR. I mean, the fanfare, the pomp and circumstance, the flyovers of the jets. I mean, it's really must see TV.
Oh yeah. they put on a great show wherever you go. It's patriotic. It's just a wonderful show to see. Everything they do is geared toward the fans, and that's what I really love about NASCAR, and I've always loved it because of that.
Well, so tell us about the race. Tree, one of the things, I don't know if you get a chance to watch NASCAR much, but it really is very exciting and actually kind of scary because these guys are like this close at 180 miles an hour. Yeah, it's just crazy, crazy, crazy. And now that the end of the race was, I don't want to say spectacular, but certainly um it was a race that was it came down to the wire, and we actually had one of, I guess, the eighth wreck of the day. Bubba Wallace, actually, interestingly enough, the lone African American driver who actually has his only NASCAR win was actually at Talladega, had the lead coming out of a caution flag, and then with a lap to go, something happened.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
terminology that's been used is called blocking. Tell people a little bit about what a lead driver does when he kind of blocks other drivers.
Well, first of all, I want to say MJ had to be PO'd off because he
Yeah.
left there right away. Got down off the stands. And he said, "I'm getting the heck out of here." But blocking, it's a common thing that all drivers do. They have to block the cars that are coming to try and take their positions. So whether it was just one of those things. It's racing. You have to always say that about it, and that's what happened. And you know, he was mad. He was right, but he was also mad. I think he felt like he let down MJ.
Yeah, no doubt. And when he says MJ, guys, he's talking about the one and only Michael Jordan, team owner
Oh
of the
yeah.
2311 team with Denny Hamlin, who actually still is currently driving in NASCAR. But yeah, a tree. Michael was actually in the building. I should say outside the building. He was actually in the pit.
Yeah, he was definitely in the pits, and he was getting into the race. I was impressed. I watched it on TV. I didn't get to go this time, but he was watching the race, and he was really talking with Denny Hamlin and the rest of the team, and he showed a great understanding of the sport, which was absolutely wonderful. And but he was so mad. He was so mad when Bubba, you know, it was a racing incident. That's the way you got to look at those things.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, Bubba Wallace, this has been now the second time in a race that I've been to that he had been in the top three with about a lap to go and wrecked his car. And I don't know. For me, I'm like, hey, I understand we all want to win, but that blocking maneuver is a little dicey. And especially when you try to block a guy two or three times, at some point that guy, NASCAR is for grown men. If you keep getting the guy's way, at some point he's gonna give you a little oomph. And that's what
uh,
happened to Bubba.
I can't argue with you. Hit it right on the head. But as they always said, and I've done this for a long, long time, it's just racing, guys. It really is. That's the way it works. Bubba took his best shot he can make at it, and he did a great job, like he always does. And it was a great race to watch. I so enjoyed watching that thing. I wish I could have been there. I'm jealous of you, by the way, because I wasn't there. Trey, you got to go to one of these races one of these days.
Yeah, I'm planning on it. Hopefully, I can.
Yeah,
Well,
we're gonna try. We're gonna try to drag her out to Atlanta one of these days. It's a little bit of a haul for Tree to get down to any of these races, so it's like an all-day extravaganza. But hopefully, we can entice her and get her on down there because I think that once she goes once, she's gonna be hooked like all the rest of us.
yeah, Trey, you're going to be one of us. Like I'm excited to get you down there and let you see how this stuff works. So, uh, you know, Bubba's a great driver, just like all the ones in the whole series. Noah Gregson was an idiot, to be honest with you, but that's my opinion. But yeah. What do you mean? What are you looking at me like that for?
No, no, but
No,
listen, I mean, normally we this is why we call it the Real Talk Sports Show because we want people to give their real opinion. But that's
oh,
I just always have the expression like, oh yeah, he's telling something that's the truth now, boys. He's coming out of the hip.
well, yeah, it was a crazy end, just like Talladega always is. It was a great race, and you and I have met a couple of times in Atlanta, and Atlanta is a great race. It's just as fast as just as fast as Talladega now. It's a super speedway, and that's what makes it so cool. So, I don't know what to say except NASCAR. It's racing, guys. Get used to it.
And there's something here. I'll show you guys a quick picture. This is the other cool thing was the Bubba Wallace paint scheme. I hope you guys can see it on. Try
Oh,
to
it was
pop it up on the
beautiful.
screen there.
It was beautiful.
There's
Yeah, look at
Woo!
that.
he
That's
went with the whole
nice.
Isn't that nice? He went with a turquoise and kind of like pink or mauve
I
color.
love that.
And then
Yeah,
they
nice, good
smashed
look.
it up all over the place.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool that he kind of brought out that look, a little something different. You know, a lot of times they try to kind of go along the Michael Jordan theme with the red and white or black, white, and white. So I thought it was kind of cool that Bubba came out with kind of a different scheme. And of course, you got to support your sponsors too. That's another
you,
thing.
you,
So
you know what's really cool though is that car's replacing Kurt Busch, who was a NASCAR champion, and I think Bubba's doing a great job of continuing the Kurt Busch legacy in NASCAR. I'm very impressed with him.
speaking of that, Doug, ironically, the winner was Kyle Busch.
Yeah,
He was
well,
able
yeah.
to get through. He was able to get through the scrum, avoid getting hit, and was able to get the win. And actually, it was so crazy that at the end, normally, I don't know if you've ever seen a tree, the drivers kind of do this big donut and burn out with the fans and go wild. Well, he couldn't do it because he was almost out of gas.
Wasn't
So he
wasn't
actually,
that wasn't
yeah,
that gutsy, that call he made? He said, "I'm staying out on this track." Got around all that stuff and pulled the win, his second one of the season. I mean, Kyle Busch, what a move to Childress Racing for him for the whole year. I think he's my pick for on champion right now. Unless he's going to he's making the playoffs. So we'll have to see what happens. It's early in the season though, so we'll see.
now, Doug, explain to people when you talk about making a gutsy move, explain to people what happens when racers get to that point where there's been stoppage of racing. And matter of fact, as it goes into overtime, why was that such a quote unquote gutsy move by Kyle? What did he have to kind of do to
Well,
stay out there in
well,
that race?
when you line up like that for those last starts, it was overtime for sure, and they all have to play off each other and see. Teammates can draft up each other, they can run together, but when it comes right down to it, when there's green white checker, they're going to go for it. So everybody went for it at the same time. It seems like it always happens at Talladega. It was a great finish. So they all went for it, and only one guy won, and that was Kyle Busch. So good for him and his whole team. It was a cool Talladega. I got to admit, it was one of the better ones I've seen.
Yeah, great stuff. And the idea of, I think a lot of people don't know, and Doug, you and I talked about it off air, the kind of strategy that has to go on, when you get to that point in the race,
Oh yeah.
because literally, guys have to determine what they're going to put on tires, whether they're going to go with fuel, and whether they're going to stay out there. And that's exactly what Kyle did. He kind of hung out and took a gamble that he would have enough fuel, and he had just enough to cross the finish line, just enough.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
No, well, his crew chief didn't want him to. He kept going, come in, come in, come in, come in, and Kyle was like, no, I'm going for this, and I think it was a great move. And congratulations to Kyle Busch. It was one heck of a great race. I just enjoyed it.
Oh, man, you summed it up because, like you said, it takes a lot of guts to not want to take on fuel when you know that it could mean it cost you the race. I
Oh
mean, because
yeah.
not like they say, "Oh, hey, let's everybody stop. This guy ran out of fuel." If you're out of fuel, that's it. You're dead in the water.
Yep, he could have been sucking fumes, and that's what happened. That's what happened. Like, who was it? Oh, what car was it? Pulled out there. One of them pulled out. I can't remember who it was, but pulled out right away, and on the last lap. So that's kind of what caused it. But it was, those guys had racing has become such a strategic sport. It's not like it used to be, where Dale Earnhardt would say, "Get the heck out of my way," love it or lose it. Now it's so technical, but it's great. I enjoy it so much, even after all these years.
Man, listen, we hope to have you back on here again. I heard some other interesting news that NASCAR is actually going to the streets of Chicago. That
Oh
they're
yeah,
actually going to do a race in the streets. Now, did you tell me you're from Chi-Town?
yeah. I lived in Chicago for a long time. I wish I could go to that race. I've got some friends that are going to be there. I can't wait to see it in Chicago. I mean, they're going to be going. They're going to be going through the streets in downtown Chicago, out on Lakeshore Drive. It's going to be so cool, and I hope it's safe, and I'm sure it will, because NASCAR is a great organization. So we'll see how this all plays out. But boy, going to Chicago, how cool is that? I mean, I never thought I would see it in my time.
We had definitely auto racing has taken the nation by storm. Like you mentioned, that the NASCAR coming to Chicago, Formula One now here, every venue, Miami. I think they're going to be in
Oh yeah.
Vegas, sold out. Now they're talking about another race possibly through the streets of New York. So yeah, man, auto racing is here. Well, listen, we got to go to a break. Before I let you go, you know how we do it. We like to make sure that people can find out more about you, let us know what your social media or your how to follow you on a website. Doug
Oh,
Allen, the
awesome.
floor is
Awesome.
yours.
Doug Allen, Spirit of Racing. Spirit of Racing is a podcast. I just did a new episode today with the president of Darlington, Kerry Tharp, and a guy named Rex White, who's a 1960 NASCAR champion. So check out Spirit of Racing. Doug Allen. I'd love to have you part of my listening crowd, and thank you so much.
Doug Allen, appreciate you, man. Always good to have you join us. And like I said again, man, we got more NASCAR coming because a lot of people know there's a fall season too. So we hope to have you back on the air to talk a little racing.
Love to come
For
back.
having
Thank
me
you, Trey.
on.
Bye-bye. Thanks
Bye,
so
Doug.
much.
Bye.
All right, Tree, we got to go to a quick break. We'll be more here with the Real Talk Sports Show. Breaking news, Atlanta still is leading Boston as we go deep into the second quarter. All right, guys, we'll be back with more of the Real Talk Sports Show in just a moment. Don't go nowhere. Thank you.
The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at allenvigillincoln.net.
We're back, guys. You're watching or listening to the Real Talk Sports Show. I'm your host, the Minister Jonathan Simmons. And right next to me is the lovely and always beautiful Miss Tree Dolman. Well, Tree, it is we're about 8 minutes in. Well, 8 minutes left to go in the second quarter, and shockingly, I shouldn't say that, but yeah, Hawks still have a 1-point lead over the Boston Celtics, and they played very well so far tonight, even without their Capitan, I guess you would call him, DeJounte Murray.
Yeah, no, that's good that they are. I look forward to watching the game once we're done with this show, and hope that they can pull out the win. We shall see.
Now, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, you heard about DeJounte going out. Now, I know you played before. How important is it that, I understand it's a big game that you kind of keep your cool because, I mean, literally, and I had just missed it because I was coming from the other side of the court. He literally like stalked the ref down and then kind of gave him a little, brush on the way out, which is why he unfortunately has been suspended.
Well, he didn't give him a brush; he bumped him. So that's different from a brush. A brush is you walk past somebody and you brush them. He went over to the ref and bumped them. So no, that was definitely intentional.
Yeah, it's important really that, like I said, we keep our cool in these kind of situations because, again, you're facing an elimination game, and now you can't play in the game at all. So, we appreciate the energy, but gotta be careful.
But at the same token, a lot of people just don't get it. When you're an athlete, you're playing with emotion. So yes, you want to keep your cool, but the reason that you are a great athlete, the reason that you are able to play the way that you are, the reason that you go to the weight room and you're in the gym for hours and hours and hours is because you're passionate about the sport that you play and that you want to excel in. So even though, yes, we want players to keep their cool, it's still an emotional sport and they still play with emotion. We love that they play with emotion because emotion is what gets the fans excited. Yes, you would hope that players can keep those emotions controlled in the right way to where they're not doing things that are bad or that causes them to get suspensions or technical fouls and get fined. So, but it's still a game that players use their emotions, and you see those emotions on the court.
Yeah, no doubt. It was a game where the Hawks, unfortunately, have, I believe, caught the ire of the NBA refs, and some of it could be self-inflicted, some of it not. But there's no question that in me watching the games, and Hawks players won't come out and say it because, as they say, we don't want to get fined. But yeah, there definitely seems to be a little bit of a bias towards Hawks and not getting the calls. So I guess DeJounte said I have enough of this and wanted to make sure that he made it plain to the ref that he was unhappy. So bottom line, DeJounte out. Hawks at least staying in the ball game. Celtics just hit a three-pointer. They're up now 44-41 with about 6:42 to play. What do you think the Hawks are going to have to do in order to get this win and get this game back to Atlanta? What do you think
Well,
would be
they're
the
going to
three,
have to
maybe two
play
or three
defense.
keys?
That's the main thing. They're going to have to play defense. They're going to have to control the boards and make sure that they are getting every rebound possible to help them with second chance points. And also, if they're getting defensive rebounds, it helps them with more possessions. And they also need to do what was working well for them, which is scoring in the paint. So when they shoot a lot of threes and they're not falling, it doesn't always work out well for the Hawks. But when they go in the paint and they score, that's typically what helps them win when they won against the Boston Celtics. So I think that they just need to use those keys and continue to do what works well with them. But again, the number one thing will be defense. They have to play great defense in order to get this win.
Yeah, no doubt. And even as we spoke, it seemed like they heard you because as soon as you mentioned that they Sadiq Bey scored in the paint, he actually and rebounded a missed John Collins three-pointer. So yeah, so far it looks like the Hawks are doing what they need to do to obviously, of course, stay competitive and have a shot at this game. 'Cause I think the biggest key, well, that's a bad turnover there. Anyway, I think the biggest key for them is to keep the game close. We know that, they all talk about each team gets on runs, but it's going to be very, very important that the Hawks try to keep themselves without a double-digit lead. You want to try to keep the crowd, I think, out of this game because, as you know, playing in the Boston Garden is rough.
It's a tough atmosphere.
Very tough. So like I said, hopefully the Hawks can keep it close. It does look like Boston may be going a small run now, up by 5 with about, I don't know, 5 or 6 points to go. The Hawk pain in the rear end, Malcolm Brogdon, once again, has got 9 points already from the six-man position. That's why he's six-man of the year. And yeah, so like I said, they just hopefully they can stop this run here and not let Celtics continue to mad bomb because you have to call a timeout. And Hawks now suddenly, after being up by 1, Boston a 9-0 run, and now find themselves up 54-46. Crowd in Boston on their feet. So yeah, the Hawks are going to have to kind of find some way to slow them down. I think the biggest thing is they're just going to have to find a better way to defend Boston from the three. It seems like since I've watched this series, the Hawks have had a lot of problems in switching and then closing out on the three. And as you know, that's the kiss of death with a team that can shoot pretty good. If you can't be in their face and make that shot contested, it's going to make for a long night. So hopefully they can get that kind of under control. Let's do this for a second. Let's just shift gears and go to the rest of the NBA. What do you think about what's happening in two big series? The Lakers now up over Memphis 3-1 after LeBron having a LeBron-esque type game, 20 rebounds last night. Do you think the Lakers can close the door and upset the Grizzlies? And what do they have to do to kind of make that happen?
They definitely can upset the Grizzlies. And if they do, I would just be smiling, thinking back to the comment that was made when Ja Morant was asked about his competition in the West. And he said, "Oh, I'm good in the West." Well, if you guys lose in the first round, I guess you're not really that good in the West, are you? But the LA Lakers, the Lakers are they're coming to play. And one thing that we know, it doesn't matter what your seeding is once you get into the playoffs. Once you're in the playoffs, it's a whole different season. And what happened prior does not matter. And the Lakers are playing great ball together. They have chemistry. They're playing great defense. And I do see them upsetting the Memphis Grizzlies. And I just think that the Lakers they have something to prove.
And the other big series where you have a lower seed shaking up the world and now having a 3-1 lead, Miami Heat led by Jimmy Buckets, Mr. Playoff, an epic historic 56-point
56.
game, 56-point game against the Milwaukee Bucks. So now the question is, on the flip side, can Milwaukee find a way to come back? Keep in mind, they were NBA title champions just 2 years ago. Can they find a way to come back against this Miami team? And what are they going to have to do to get this win?
Well, We'll have to see. I don't think a team has ever come back from a 3-1 deficit to actually come back and win. So, but anything is possible. Before the Tampa Bay Buccaneers had played a Super Bowl at home, that had never happened. And before they won the Super Bowl at home, that had never happened. So just because it's never happened does not mean that it's not possible and that it can't happen. I think that the Milwaukee Bucks, they definitely have a good team. We know that they've been going through some injuries, but now they have players back. So you can't count them out. They have sharpshooters and they have Giannis back. And we all know that he's the key to their team being successful. So yes, they can come back. Miami, though, they're still playing great and they're feeling it. And as long as we have Jimmy Butler scoring 56 points and making his name known, which if those of you who do not know, he's called Playoff Jimmy, which for a reason. And that's because when it comes to the playoffs, he's just a different type of player. So I think this is going to be a great series. I can see it going to 7 games possibly, but I don't know. At first, I was thinking that the Bucks could win, but Miami, they're showing that you can't just give up on them. And they have a really good team, even though they have Tyler Hero no longer playing with them because he's injured. But even with the roster starters that they have and their bench, they're still producing. So this is a great series, and honestly, it can go either way.
Well, speaking of go either way, unfortunately, it's gone the wrong way for the Hawks. The Celtics now on a 16-4 run, and now have a 13-point lead, and the crowd is going bananas here with about 3 minutes left to go in the first half. The Hawks have got to find a way to get back in this ball game, or it could be lights out for Atlanta very, very quickly. Yeah, the place is going absolutely bananas here, and the Hawks are going to need to. They're gonna need to find the Trae Young from 2 years ago when he had that 46-point extravaganza against the 76ers, and they might even need a little bit more than that. Because, like I said again, they are on the road, but we shall see. Like I said, it's going to be there's a long free from Trae, and
Yeah.
no good.
So
So
while
yeah,
you look at that, I do just want to remind everybody that I have my Go Great for a Cure 5K that is coming up. Please make sure that you go and register, or you can donate. We have a virtual option for all of those that are not able to come in person. You can register at gogreatforacure.org, or you can go to runsignup.com/go great for a cure 5K and sign up, or you can scan the QR code that you see on your screen. It's also on all of our social media. The funds that we are raising goes to Go Great for a Cure. Also will go to life-saving brain cancer research. And we are here to help bring awareness to brain tumors and brain cancer. And the main reason is to find a cure for brain cancer. So again, you can support at runsignup.com/go great for a cure 5K and sign up. We have virtual options where you can run or walk from May 13th through May 27th. You can walk on your treadmill, you can walk through your neighborhood, you can sign up and not walk. We just really would like the support, or you could just go and make a donation. But we are looking to make a big difference, and it takes funds to have life-saving brain cancer research so that we can find a cure for brain cancer.
there it is, guys, right there. You see it on the screen. Is right there. Please get involved there. The dates May 13th to the 27th. You can be virtual like I did last year. And there it is again. Go Gray for a cause 5K run or walk. And please go to the website or either follow Tree on social media to find out more about what's going on and be a part of it. It's always good to give back to others and to find something that can be a blessing to someone else. So please, guys, do that if you can. I mean, or do like me. If you can't walk or run, just send a donation. And it doesn't matter how small it is. Any donation, or we'd like a large one, obviously, but whatever you'd like to do, please, ma'am, please, sir, go ahead and contribute as best you can for that. So, yeah, good stuff going on. Just one thing I applaud you. Matter of fact, that's how we met. I always tell people a story at a nonprofit event. So we always appreciate the fact that you've been giving in the community for a long time. I've seen you at different hospitals, different things, just always kind of giving back. Kind of what kind of spurs you to stay involved in the community and with organizations, really around Metro Atlanta?
I truly live my life to be a blessing to others. God blesses us so that we can be a blessing to others, and that's how I live my life. And even when I was a young girl, I had no clue what giving back was, but I wanted to give back. I wanted to help those in need, and that's just something that's been a part of my heart, just to have a service for others. So I just thank God for His many blessings to allow me to be able to give back to so many different causes and so many different people across the United States, not just, and actually across the world. Let me not just say the United States, because I also support those in Africa and other countries, but mainly Africa and the United States. But it's all just to honor God and be like Jesus, and that's how I live my life.
Well, I can't think of a better testimony than that, and I can't think of a better way to go to the break. You're watching Real Talk Sports Show here as we broadcast you on every channel we can, and we also thank God for those of you who are watching us via the replay. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Don't go nowhere. Thank you.
Are you in the market for a new vehicle? Well, check out Allen Vigil Ford Lincoln in Morrow, Georgia. We have one of the largest inventories in our area for both new and pre-owned vehicles, so we're sure to have something for everyone. Family owned and operated since 1982, customer satisfaction is our number one priority. Come see our full lineup of vehicles and find the one that best fits you. Give us a call today, 678-726-5739, or shop us 24/7 online at allenvigilford.net.
This is OJ Howard with Real Talk Sports.
What's up, guys? This is Tim Tebow. You're listening to Real Talk Sports.
This is Charles Woodson. Let me grab the mic. You ready? This is Charles Woodson with Real Talk Sports. Hey, it's your boy JB Smooth with Real Talk Sports.
We are back. You're listening to the Real Talk Sports Show. We broadcast to you on multiple platforms: Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. We're there. And we also, again, appreciate those of you who are watching on the replay. And I know, guys, this is a tough one. We're going to break off the show a little bit early because I think that, like everyone, we want to try to catch the end of this playoff game as the Hawks do their thing against the Celtics. Right now, Hawks are down, but the game is still not out of reach, thank God. 66-58 as we go into halftime. Celtics up by 8 points. Trae Young has played as good as he could in the first half. I think he's just under 20 points. The big problem for the Hawks is stopping Jaylen Brown, who has 23 already at the half. Hawks 12, 66-58 at the half. So, like I said, hopefully they'll be able to come back and do what they need to do and get this to a game 6 back in the A. What other thing going on right now?
Nice.
That would be really nice. I mean, it would be really great to be able to go back out there one more time and to catch them and see what they can do. And 8 points is not insurmountable. As we mentioned about Miami, Jimmy Buckets scored 21 points in the fourth quarter and allowed Miami to come back from a double-digit deficit in the fourth quarter. So, as you know, Tree, a great player can get hot and take over a game.
Oh yeah, it's possible. Hey, these are the playoffs. Anything can happen.
You're surely right. I mean, anything can happen. Yeah, it could be, like I said, Trey could get hot. We saw the other night. He scored 15 points in the fourth quarter. And the only victory they have so far. So you never know. He could light it up, or it could be another player. I mean, it could be a situation where the Hawks as a whole get back to doing what they did again, their only win. I think they shot almost 50% from 3-point range. So it's going to take that kind of effort for them to get back. But I think there's no question that it lies firmly on the shoulders of the guy we refer to as Ice Trae. Yeah, Trae Young's going to have a superstar moment in order for them to win this game and get this back to Atlanta. Well, speaking of Atlanta, we also know that Atlanta has a football team called the Atlanta Falcons. And right now, like the other 32 teams in the NFL, Tree, it's draft time. So the question is going to be that we're asking is that, hey, who are the Falcons going to draft? We have an unhappy Hawks fan here. Mr. Friedman saying we stink. Jonathan, you got to stay encouraged, brother. I mean, can't tap out now. It's too early, and I mean it could be worse. They were down by 13 or 14, so they cut the gap down to 8 points. So keep the faith, brothers. Don't tap on us now. Yeah, just hang tight. So yeah, I understand it's an interesting thing, kind of trying to cover the team, and you go through this a little bit now, starting to cover. It's a weird thing because you want to be objective, but the fan in you, if you like the team, comes out. And you try not to do it, but just
Yeah, I will say that when I'm at the games, it's very hard to not jump up and cheer and do all of the things that I would do if I was not covering the game, because I'm not the type of person to just sit there and watch. I love to stand up and cheer and jump up, and I love sports. But like you said, when you're covering the game, you're not supposed to do those things. So I've gotten a lot better, but sometimes I would have my reactions. And so I'm a lot better at those now. But yes, it is tough covering the games and not being able to cheer and jump and yell and all of those great things, especially when we know how electrifying State Farm Arena is. This season, the Hawks have had a record of sellout games, which I'm so happy and proud of them for that. And let me tell you, the fans make some noise in there, and it is, like I said, very electrifying.
I mean, the Hawks. The one thing that they have really cultivated at State Farm Arena is that whole fan experience, the energy, and it's just everything. It's the in-game experience, a lot of stuff that they do during the game as far as the entertainment. The other thing too, obviously, the Hawks have been playing pretty well since they've been in State Farm, and they always try to do something to keep you engaged at all time. And then once the Hawks start playing well, that place just starts rocking. I mean, it just really is must-see TV. And what you expect, that's what you want. You want to have a home court advantage. You want other teams to come in and feel like it's going to be tough for them to win. And to Hawks fans' credit, in this playoffs, even though Boston as a team travels well, I didn't hear any or just a smattering of cheers when the Celtics did well. And I heard what you're supposed to hear often when they went to the line, or when Malcolm Brogdon, who is a known Hawks killer because he's from this area, or Marcus Smart. Anytime those guys touched the ball, they were rained down with boos. And that's what's supposed to happen. I mean, you're really supposed to be energized about your home team and really not be cheering for the other team. So kudos to Hawks fans who really, a lot of them kept their tickets, didn't sell them. Like, did I see a lot of green? I did. But at the end of the day, Hawks fans were loud and proud, as you mentioned, sellouts throughout most of the season. And certainly for the playoffs so far, every game has been sold out.
Yes.
So Hawks fans, big up, big ups. All right, I ask this question real quick, and then we'll get back to football. If the Hawks can't win this game and they end up going out 4-1, especially if they lose the game, by more than double figures, who do you think has the most likely chance of not being a Hawk next year out of these guys? Would you say out of John Collins? Was it? Ladies and gentlemen, for those of you watching the show, you don't know how hard it was for her to say that because she is a big John Collins fan, but immediately, John Collins.
Well,
Yeah.
I say that not because that's what I want. We all know there's no secret. I do not want John Collins to leave, even though Jonathan Friedman said they need to move Collins. I disagree, Jonathan. I do not want to see John Collins leave. John Collins has been a Hawk longer than any other Hawk on our roster. He's a captain. He has a great personality. I understand that a lot of people talk about how his numbers have dropped this season. A lot of people need to realize that there are so many more things that a player can bring to the team outside of points. There are things that they do that sometimes just do not show up on the stat sheet. And John Collins is one of those players. So even though I do not want to see him leave, unfortunately, his name is the name that is always brought up when they're talking about trade rumors. You always hear them talking about John Collins, John Collins, John Collins. And actually, if if KD if Kevin Durant did not go to the Phoenix Suns and make that trade request, guess what? John Collins wouldn't even be with the Hawks right now. So I thank you again, Kevin Durant, for trading and requesting a trade and going to the Phoenix Suns, because if he did not do that, John Collins would not be a Hawk right now. So because of those things, that is the reason that I say that he would be the first player that they would move, not because I want him moved, not because I think he should move, but unfortunately, he's the player that the Hawks keep talking about moving. So I think that he would be the first to go.
Now, of course, your good friend, Mr. Todd, he might be doing this to get some points with Ms. Tree. He says the guy's got to go is Mr. Young.
Mr. Young.
A.K.A. Trae Young. And this is what he says. He thinks he's a cancer on the team. He's small, moody, and will never bring us a ring.
You think so, Todd?
Wow.
I don't know about that one, but hey, we all have our own opinions. I think he can bring us a ring. I mean, if you think about it, they built the entire team around him. He is our star player. It's Trae Young and the Hawks. So I don't know. We'll see.
Wow. I mean, this is crazy. Well, I gotta tell you, it's I don't know about the Trae Young situation. It's like this. Yes, are we now on the third coach? We are. There's no question about that. You can't not look at this. But the team has invested a lot of capital, a lot of time in Trae Young. They made him a lottery pick. And so I think that barring some offer out of the ordinary, Trae Young is going to continue to be a Hawk. All that being said, however, the principal owner, Tony Ressler, has gone on record to say no one is untouchable on this team. And before, that's the situation. We're going to do is we're going to take a quick little break. I'm not sure what exactly has happened here, but evidently Facebook is now blocking our broadcast. So we're going to take a quick break and try to get ourselves back on Facebook again, because so many people do watch on Facebook. So keep it locked right here for more of the Real Talk Sports Show as we make a technical adjustment. We'll be back.
The day has arrived. It's time to let more people know about your business. You have the right marketing plan and the messaging in place. But do you have the right messenger? Good advertising and promotions need a professional sound so the message can be clearly understood. Don't leave your brand image to chance. Let our team of voiceover experts at CME lend you a hand. Give us a call at 678-304-8121 to find out how we can partner with you to give your business its voice. Hey sports fans, tune in for live high school football Fridays, 7:30 p.m. on RealTalkSports.net. Check out your favorite Metro Atlanta teams as they do battle on the gridiron. It's your high school game of the week, live streaming free Friday nights on RealTalkSports.net. For more sports coverage and great sports talk, catch the Real Talk Sports Show Tuesdays, 8 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch. Brought to you by Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, a business giving back to their community. Give them a call at 678-364-3979 or check them out online at AllenVigilFord.net. Did you know that Allen Vigil Ford in Morrow, Georgia also has Lincoln? Over 35 years of using the Vigil Touch to provide excellent customer service, works hand in hand with the Lincoln Motor Company to provide a luxurious and seamless way to acquire your next luxury vehicle. Lincoln has an array of full-service complimentary owner benefits. These benefits include hospitality partnerships, service pickup and delivery, all which can be accessed through the Lincoln Way app. You can even contact the 24/7 concierge to have someone assist you. Come and see our great inventory of new and pre-owned Lincolns today. Call 678-364-7345 to make an appointment with one of our brand champions or shop 24/7 online at AllenVigilLincoln.net.
All right, we're back here. You are watching the Real Talk Sports Show. As I said again, we are temporarily having some difficulties on Facebook. They claim that there's suspicious activity. And I think it's because I've been sharing the page and they don't like us sharing too much. So nevertheless, it is what it is. Let's go back to social media. Our good friend Todd says, well, Trey, Tree, we read what Todd has to say now.
Only way Hawks land, bring it back to ATL, is Boston team gets food. He said the only way that the Hawks will win and bring it back to the ATL is if Boston team gets food poisoning.
Todd taking out of the story of Michael Jordan. I believe I forget what game he was playing. He was actually playing in the finals, and that's exactly what happened. He requested some food to come to his hotels late at night, and they in fact did something to the food, and he was like sick as a dog. Um,
He still
so
played.
he still played and actually had one of his best games. So
Yes.
yeah, I don't know if you want that, bro, because you might have a situation where either Jalen Brown or our other star for the Celtics goes off,
Tatum,
Jason
Jason
Tatum.
Tatum.
So yeah, you want to leave that alone, bro. You don't want to be poisoning nobody's food. You don't want to be doing the okey doke. If the Hawks are supposed to win this, they're going to win. And like you said, I mean, the game is not over. We're just starting the second half. The Hawks are only down by 8, and anything can happen. I mean, like I say again, we saw with in the case of Miami, Jimmy buckets. He was able to do what he was able to do, and get them to a win. So, yep, just have to understand, guys, that the Hawks right now they knew that if in fact they were to lose, game 4, it was going to make an almost insurmountable task. The operative word is almost, because teams have come back from 3-1. No one's ever come back from 3-0, but some teams have come back from 3-1. So it is possible. But right now, like I said again, don't lose hope, guys. Hawks are still in the ball game. They still got a shot. Yeah, and as far as who might go after all this is concerned, I think that clearly John Collins has a better shot of being exited versus Trae Young. The other guy whose name keeps coming up in potentially having to leave is DeAndre Hunter, because Hunter was also a near lottery pick, and a lot of people feel that he has not consistently produced the way we had expected. The other night he had 27 points. I'm not trying to say they won't expect him to average 27, but a lot of people expect him to consistently average around 19 or maybe even 20 points a game, and he's not done that since he's been in Atlanta. I think his highest average for a season has been just under 14 points, I think 13 points. And John Collins, I mean, you see, the thing with Collins that I always mention with this is that he really has been put in a bad spot. I mean, to some degree, I know that, hey, things change. You have to adjust to new coaches, new schemes. But here's a guy that basically I thought was going to be, along with Trae, our version of Stockton to Malone. Because if you remember, initially, that pick and roll was framed around Trae and John. And I thought to myself, hey, we got this. John seemed to be working. Matter of fact, at one point, the guys averaged up to, I think, 19 or 20 points a game. So I was thinking, okay, we've got something here. And when they brought in Clint Capella, they kind of made Clint the pick and roll guy, and then asked John to really, be something he really wasn't, which was more of a jump shooter and even a 3-point shooter. So, Tree, could you explain to people how hard it is to kind of go from being like a stretch 4 where you're playing a lot in the paint and all of a sudden have to turn around and start shooting 3-pointers and from the outside?
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot of work and practice, and it can throw off your game. But that's the great thing with basketball, is that you always want to practice different positions, and typically the 4 and 5 are almost the same. But like you said, it's a completely different part of his game where you're mainly going from a pick and roll and posting up to where you're shooting threes. And I will say that I am very impressed at how well he has done that, because John Collins can shoot the 3, and he has games where he's definitely on fire with his 3-pointers. So kudos to him for working hard to make that adjustment, because that is a big adjustment in his game. But he has done so very
Yeah, no doubt. It is, he's had games where he certainly has done very well from 3-point range. It's just like most of the Hawks, they just have not been consistent all year long, really. Speaking of that, there's a long 3 by Trae, which is no good. So yeah, I mean, that's really the problem with this team. It's just they have not been consistent as far as their 3-point shooting this year. And everybody's measurables are all down. Trays are down. John is down, because actually, if you look, like you mentioned, John was shooting the 3 fairly well. And that's really just the problem. This team has not shot well. And then on the flip side, especially in the playoffs, they have not defended the 3 well, which, as you know, is a kiss of death. So not sure what they're going to have to do to turn around. Not sure they're going to bring in here. I've always felt, me personally, that they could use another big man. But then I had to stop and think, how can you really say that when Clint Capella has been a top 3 pick for Defensive Player of the Year, led the league, I think, in rebounding a couple of years ago. So it's kind of tough to say we need a big man. Well, I mean, what more you want from a big man? I mean, you want a guy that's able to defend, which, like I said, you wouldn't be in the running for defensive player of the year if you couldn't do that. And you want a guy to rebound. He led the league. So I don't think Clint is the issue. I don't necessarily think anymore we need a big man. I'm not sure what we need. I just think we need somebody else besides Trey and DeJounte that can give them a little bit more consistent scoring punch. Don't get me wrong, Bogey's not bad off the bench, but he's very inconsistent. You know, John, same thing, very inconsistent. We just need somebody that we know, okay, if these two guys are being stopped, that we have that third option that we can go to. And who that's going to be, I don't know. But that's what I think this team needs if they're going to try to actually go for a championship. And Trey, they're going to have to find, to me, some way to have him move more without the ball, a la what Steph Curry does, and find a way for Trey to really get through some picks and screens and have some open shots. All right, let's go here and take a peek here. Hey, before I post this up, Todd, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to about to close out the basketball and move into football. Just give us a second, and we go ahead and pop that up on the screen. For those of you watching on the replay on Facebook, we're sorry that maybe some portion of you didn't see. Facebook has blocked us. We're not sure what happened. They said something about suspicious activity on the account. I was just trying to share it in a couple of different groups as we always do, and they have blocked us. We thank those of you who have moved on to YouTube. I see now the YouTube numbers are going up, so we appreciate you for those of you who are doing that. Let's go ahead and shift to the Falcons. Tree, we talked about it before. I know you're pleased with what the Falcons have been doing so far because the focus has been on defense. In this draft at the number 8 pick, do you think they should go for a cornerback, another defensive lineman, or if in fact a top quality offensive player is available, such as Bijan Robinson, the running back from Texas, do you think they should go in that direction?
Honestly, I don't know. I think they need to go with the best player that's available. We have made great moves on defense, but we still need some defensive positions, and we also need some offense. So I just think the best player that they have available at that time is what they should go ahead and get. But again, they can't go wrong either way.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it's going to be a tough call because it really kind of depends on what happens in those first 5 picks. Are all the quarterbacks going to be picked, which means you're going to have a lot of, top players available at the both offensive and defensive position. I'm thinking, me personally, they should go with some type of defensive player, probably defensive lineman. Now, there's some talk about them trying to get a cornerback like a Christian Gonzalez from out of Oregon. Everybody keeps talking about him, or the young man Devin Witherspoon from Illinois, who's everybody says an outright thumper at the defensive back position, because people are thinking, hey, they kind of shored up their defense now with free agency. Let's go ahead and just, kind of get a cornerback. But I don't know. I mean, it's like, Tree, rushing that passer. That's what your dear departed did very well. And when you can rush the passer, when you can, and not just rush, but when you can put him on the ground and sack him, that's what makes the difference. They had a stat that was very interesting. They said that the teams that have went to the Super Bowl in the last, I think, 12 years, they had no less than the team total of 42 sacks in a year. And to give you perspective, guys, the Falcons last year, I think, had 22 for the year. So we need pressure. We need guys that can put pressure on the quarterback. We need guys that can sack the quarterback, because at the end of the day, that's the way you win. It's been proven. At least that's how you get the Super Bowl. So I'm thinking they need to go ahead and take somebody else. Let's see here. Todd says, first of all, he said the Falcons have underachieved again this year. I'm not sure, Todd. They haven't played a game yet, brother, but you're already on the bus. And Trey, if you can read this next one for us here, what he's talking about now.
He said Falcons will take the corner from Washington, and I don't like it. Jalen Carter, best player tree. Okay, Todd.
So Todd's convinced, I think, like everybody else, they're well, first of all, there's some talk that Jalen Carter might drop all the way down because of the unfortunate incident with the crash while he was at UGA, and certainly are, again, as we mentioned before, we're always saddened to see and hear something like that. But they're thinking that what that means is that instead of him being at the minimum a top 3 pick, a lot of people thought he'd be the #1 overall pick. That in fact now that he's going to drop down into that 7 to 10 range, which means he would be there available for the Falcons. So the question would be, do the Falcons want to pull a trigger on Mr. Carter if he was there? What do you think? If he was available, do you think the Falcons should go ahead and draft him or look for another edge rusher or possibly either that cornerback? If
Honestly,
Jalen Carter was there.
That's a tough call.
Tough one, isn't it? Right, sure.
Just for the simple fact that his case is not over. If
Right.
this was later after the incident and you would find out if there would be punishment or charges or things of that nature, the decision would be a lot easier. So honestly, teams are just going to have to decide if they're willing to take a chance on him. And if they do, they have to be aware that they may not have him for a period of time if he does get suspended or things happen where he's not available to play. So that's something that each team honestly has to decide and look at their roster and look at their club and see if that's something that they want to deal with.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure because nobody really knows. And, Falcons have, especially since the Michael Vick situation, have tried to stay away from controversy and from players that might have a situation. And the few times they've kind of strayed away from that, it's kind of come back to kind of get them a little bit. We know the situation with the Alabama player that came at Jalen Collins. The guy had a problem, especially with handling with PEDs and so forth. And after that 1 or 2 seasons he had in the Super Bowl season, the one after that, he really was never a factor. This was a guy they thought was going to be a big key to their defensive backfield. Also a guy I had liked, they brought in a big lineman. I can't even think of his name. I'm drawing a blank. But same thing, he had some off the field issue with domestic violence and never really was able to live up to, what their expectations are. So yeah, the Falcons, I think, going to be very, very, very cautious. As much as many fans want to see Carter here, I think it's going to, that's it. So let's go here. Todd says, once again, the inside man, he said, case is over, Tree got off with a fine. I think that is true. I think they might have.
Wow, the case is over?
That's what he says, right? So.
Oh, well, my apologies. I was not aware of that change. Okay, well, never mind. If that's the case, then yes, get them.
There we go. Well, listen, that's gonna wrap it up, boys. Because speaking of get them, we want to go ahead and let everybody and listen, guys. I want to say this. First of all, I want to give everybody a big thank you for taking the time to watch our broadcast right in the middle of the NBA playoffs. Now, I know some of you guys have.
Thank you, Todd. Todd is one of
Todd.
our faithfuls. Todd, you are appreciated.
Oh man, yeah, we appreciate you, bro. You always light it up on social media. We're so thankful to you. And again, like I said, we really appreciate everyone. Our subscriber count is slowly but surely going up. We are trying to reach the magical 1,000 subscribers. We're now at 644 as of today. So we thank you very, very much for that. And Todd ends it with love y'all later. All right, bro. Peace out. All right. You know how we do it. Before we go, we'd like to let all of you guys know how you can find out more about our co-host and guests. So we're going to get all set up. And Miss Tree Dolman, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Please go to runsignup.com/Go Great for a Cure 5K. You can find me on all social media at Purple Diva 13, as well as Ms. America International 2022. Again, you can go to runsignup.com/Go Great for a Cure 5K, or you can go to any of my social media. There's the flyer. Please sign up for our 5K. You can run in person on May 13th, or you can run virtually or walk virtually or in person. May 13th through the 27th is our virtual. In person is May 13th. Please sign up and help us raise funds to end brain cancer.
There she is, the lovely Tree Dolman. Thank you, Tree. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
All right, guys. You know about me. I'm the Minister Jonathan Simmons. You can follow me anywhere on social media. And please follow the show also at Real Talk Sports, the number 7. You can follow me at Minister J Sim. Remember, if you have a good sports story, somebody is doing something great in the world of sports, but also outside the lines, please contact us, Jay Simmons at realtalksports.net. That's JSIMMONS at realtalksports.net. or simply text me at 678-410-9833. We'd love to have you on the broadcast. Hey guys, remember, if you don't know the Lord Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, I implore you, please, ma'am, please, sir, get to know him today. Nobody loves you like Jesus. He's the one that died for your sins. And if you repent of your sins and believe him, two great things happen. Number one, you become a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. And number two, you become an adoptive child of God with all the rights there. And that means you now can go to God as a heavenly parent, loving parent, ask him for anything you need or desire, and according to his will, he'll give it to you. And last but not least, if and when you die, you go to that wonderful place called heaven. No pain, no pandemic, no bad people. It's glorious and sunny all the time because the glory of God illuminates the kingdom. You avoid that nasty place called hell, where all the things I mentioned are in heaven will not be in hell. It's dark, it's dreary, bad people everywhere. And most of all, you're cut off from God, from Jesus Christ, the people that love him, and many people that love you forever and a day. I don't know about you, but I like option number one instead of option number two. All right, everybody, until the next time when we see you again, you know how we do it. God bless you and have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, whichever may apply. So long.